is up, everybody? Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Panda and I will be doing a recap of the Cash Gernon case. So let's get started. So we know that Cash Gernon was abducted at 5 in the morning by Darian Brown. It's one of those terrifying videos because we are seeing an actual abduction happen right in front of us. Around 6:40, Cash Gernon is found by Antoinise Elford. She states that the young boy was bloodied and had ants underneath his feet. Around 7 a.m., Dallas police start to knock on people's doors, asking if they are looking for a child or if they have a child. Given around this time, 7:30, Darian Brown comes back to Monica's home and is supposedly going to take Carter. Now, the surveillance that we have of that is also weird. He says some things, and there are YouTubers out there that have amplified the sounds of what Darian has said. Now, with Darian returning to that same room, it is interesting to me that he could have easily taken Carter too. Now, it does look like Carter woke up and Darian steps back and walks away. But what's so odd is that Darian was able to get in again. We know that the interview that Cameron had with the Daily Mail, he states that the garage door is broken, so they use a chain. Now, if you guys paid attention, you would know that that garage door made quite a sound as Cameron barely moves the garage door. Now, if you look here, the garage door is open here. This is a Google Maps from 2019, so this has watermarks. But this is the same house. There was a couple of other ways to enter this home. This back door literally can go into the room where Cash and Carter were in. And when they said that this garage door is broken, I mean, is it broken because it can't come completely down, or does it always stay up? Just questions I have. I'm just curious how Darian was able to go in the home a second time without being noticed. I mean, like I said, when Cameron moved that garage door, it made a sound. Okay, so I want you guys to pay attention to this because I was talking about the garage door coming down and making some sound. Let's take a look at this Daily Mail interview with Cameron.
The door is broke right here, as you can see. It doesn't have a latch on it, so we use a chain now to lock it up. And
so the door is broken, and obviously as he pushed down, it made quite a sound there. Like, the question is, was the garage door fully closed? And if it was, I am sure you would be able to hear that. I would hope somebody would be able to hear that, but obviously they didn't. No one heard anything.
that's where he came in. He lifted the door open.
But I also want to mention that he talks about the door being broken and they use a chain to lock it. But as he looks, he can't really pinpoint where the chain is. So is there a chain, or is that just made up? Just another question I have.
Right here, as you can see, it's been kicked in or tampered with, if you would call it, and it made.
It's been kicked in or tampered with. Or what you call it. So it's one or the other. So we know that this is the way Darian got in, but it doesn't look like it was kicked in. It just looks like it's easy to open. Because if it was kicked in, you would hope someone would hear that. But they didn't, obviously. So here we are. And that door seems like it's seen some action there. Like, that looks pretty messed up. So if it was kicked in, I would assume someone would have heard that. Or you just got to be so out of it that you didn't hear anything. I mean, obviously, because Darian was able to get in with no problem. I mean, he came back a second time.
Call it, and he made his way through here while we were all asleep. Quiet, I guess. I don't know why nobody heard him around here. And then into here. This is where the boys slept.
So that is definitely a additional room. That sliding glass door indicates that it used to be the door that would go out into the backyard. But that is definitely an additional room. Um, his statement here, he's like, "Oh, I don't know why we didn't hear him." Well, if you said that the door was kicked in and then the garage can make a noise like that, yeah, he should have. I'm curious where everyone stays at in that home. I'm curious. I mean, is there a room over here nearby that someone sleeps there? The thing is, there's so many questions. This is such a weird. It's weird that Darian was able to come in here twice.
Here, and then into here. This is where the boys slept. This is where they were sleeping that night. He slept in the bed. He just came in, just stood over him.
So that crib is small for 2 4-year-olds. That's a small crib, and not only that, an AC unit up above. That's risky. I mean, the conditions that these boys lived in, you could tell. You could tell there was neglect all around. Dad left them, abandoned them. I don't care what people say. He abandoned his boys. And it resulted in one losing his life because of neglect.
Just watched him. The cameras are here.
So the camera, I'm curious about the camera being there, and I'm sure that they took the camera for evidence, but I am curious if that was the only time they did a camera, or have they always had a camera to keep an eye on Cash and Carter? I'm curious about that. I'm really curious how long they've had that camera, and what, if there's any other footage, any further footage.
Crib. Watching. They just picked him up.
So I'm curious about the camera being pointed directly at the crib, and the reason why I'm curious about the camera is, why didn't this camera send off a signal to Monica or whoever has the other monitor to be notified that there is movement in the room? I'm curious if that camera has always been there, if it's just there to surveillance the two boys. I'm assuming that there is some sort of signal being directed to another monitor to notify the other person that these boys are safe, or that these boys are in here. Like, why have a camera there, and why not have a camera all around your home? Why just this one area? I'm just very curious on why there's this camera. And I'm curious to see if there is other footage, or if the investigators really saying that this camera, yeah, it's captured other things, but mainly we have this evidence of the abductor coming in, which is Darian Brown. But take note, Darian Brown has mental health issues. There is a theory out there saying that Darian Brown might have been influenced, might have been manipulated in taking Cash. Now, this is just a theory, so take it with a grain of salt, but this is a theory that's out there. I personally find this entire case weird. I find Monica and Cameron to be very weird. I do think they are suspects, for sure. Everyone's a suspect here. But with Trevor abandoning his boys, there's just a lot of weird stuff happening here. Trevor's statement, which I will cover in another video, but totally threw a curveball in this story. So I do think that Monica has something to do with this, and I'm just curious about the camera. Like, if this camera is supposed to send off a signal that there's movement in the room, why didn't no one get notified about this? Or did they just ignore it and they knew this was going to happen? Just questions I got. So
Picked him up, took him back that way, carried him, just like carried him.
So I'm curious about one thing. This door, I'm curious if it makes a sound, right? And how propped wide open it was. once again, it's still just so crazy that Darian was able to come back a second time with no one being able to hear him. So it just leaves many questions open.
Brought him back this way and just took him back out that way. And from there,
I'm not buying those tears. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying that Cameron is crying there. I think he's just trying to make it look like he's crying for the camera, right? And like make, sell it to the camera, sell it to the audience that we're so sad. And I don't know, like it just feels so staged. Cameron is not crying. He's doing that, like trying to act it out, like, and then it's so easily to act that out. He doesn't really sound heartbroken, and the step by step that he gives is already suspicious to me. The alarms are going off. A lot of red flags here, folks. A lot of red flags. So that'll do it for this video, but I have so many questions, so many concerns. I have some theories. I want to share theories that have been also circulating around the web. I think one of the big ones is that we have to take note that Darian Brown has a mental health condition reported by his mom. So who knows what else is going to be reported, especially with the new charge towards Darian on injuries to a child. It still raises the question, what does Monica and Trevor and Cameron have to do with this? And why was Darian able to come back into the home a second time? Especially around the time cops were already at the scene. So lots of questions. I will follow up with another video. I appreciate you all. Thanks for following me on YouTube and TikTok. If you want to see some shorts, I am also covering this case on TikTok. So follow me on Panda Punk 303. Hope you all have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next clip. Panda Punk out.